बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम एंड अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन। मेरा नाम फिजान अली सॉफ्टवेयर है और मैंने हान स्कूल इस्लामाबाद कैंपस में वन का स्टूडेंट हूँ। सो ही वाज आज मैं यहाँ पर हाजिर हुई थी माया के साथ। और टुडेज माया टॉपिक इज व्हाट्स अ कल्चरल डिश आई शुड लर्न अबाउट। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट अवर टुडेज माया। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कॉल द माया फॉर सम क्वेश्चन।
Hi.
Okay, so Maya, my first question from you is what is the name of the dish? Please give me very interesting answer on this topic. Let's start the answer, Maya. So
You're jumping right in. Okay, so you're asking about a dish, but it sounds like there might be some audio issues there. I couldn't quite catch the full question. Are you asking me to name a dish, or are you asking me to tell you about some kind of culinary tradition? If you can clarify what dish or food topic you're interested in, I can definitely give you a detailed answer. I'm still having trouble understanding exactly what you're asking me to do. It sounds like maybe something about showing Ransomaya and getting something with low noise. Could you try rephrasing your request? It's okay if it's a bit unclear. I just want to make sure I understand exactly what you're looking for.
okay, Maya, my next question from you is which country does it come from and what region is the most important popularly? Please give me very interesting answer on this topic. Let's start the answer, Maya.
Okay. Still hearing some of those unclear bits. Is Yansamaya supposed to be a place or maybe related to the dish? It's hard for me to connect those parts with a country or region. If you can tell me the name of the dish you're thinking of, I can tell you where it comes from and which regions it's most popular in. Once you give me the name, I promise a really detailed answer about its origin and significance. Appreciate you giving me another chance to understand what you're looking for. But I'm still pretty lost about what you want. What dish are you even asking about? You mentioned Ron Samaya and Jan Samaya, but I'm not sure if those are dishes, places, or something else entirely. If you could just tell me the name of something you're interested in, even just Italian food or Indian dessert would work, I can give you the kind of long, detailed answer you're asking for.
Maya, that's too bad. Okay, so how old this is the dish and is it considered a national dish? Please give me very interesting answer.
Talking. You're asking about dishes in general and if they're considered national dishes. That's a great question. It's really interesting how food gets wrapped up in national identity. So, a national dish is basically a food that people associate with a country that represents its culture, history, or ingredients. It's usually pretty popular within the country, but here's the thing. Most countries don't actually officially designate a national dish by law or anything. It's more of a cultural assumption. Sometimes there are debates about what the true national dish is. Some examples? Take Italy. People often think of pasta or pizza, but it's complicated. Lots of regions have their own specialties that they feel more represent their local heritage. Then there's Japan, where sushi is probably the most famous around the world, but a lot of Japanese people might tell you that ramen is more of a daily staple. Korea has kimchi, which pretty much everyone agrees is foundational to their cuisine, but bibimbap is also a popular contender. In the US, you've got things like apple pie, very iconic, but really not what most Americans eat every day. Then you have Texas brisket as the actual national dish. Here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes the dish actually originated somewhere else. Argentina's national dish, asado, is heavily inspired by the Spanish paella recipe, but it's adapted to Argentine culture over time. And a lot of times, these national dishes have really interesting stories tied to food security. Like, historically, was the food something anyone could access? Or was it a meal only eaten in specific cultures or certain communities? The national dish idea gets complicated with modernization and globalization too. What was once a local regional dish can become a symbol on tourist menus everywhere, which kind of changes its authenticity a bit. And new cuisines are always popping up that end up claiming their stake in the food conversation. What do you think? Does it matter if a national dish is representative of what everyone actually eats or more about what the country presents to the world? Still there? Just wanted to make sure you're following along with the conversation and haven't drifted off or something, and I can keep going, or maybe we could talk about something else if this isn't quite what you were looking for.
Okay, so my next question from you is what's make this dish special and is it and eaten daily or only one special occasions? Please give me very interesting answer.
All right, sounds like you're asking what makes national dishes special. What is it about those particular foods that elevates them over everything else? It's usually some combo of history, ingredients, and cultural significance. Often, a national dish has roots in the country's agricultural history. Like if a country has a really distinct ingredient that's grown nowhere else in the world, it'll show up in its cooking. Peruvian potatoes is a perfect example. Potatoes originated in that region and are at the heart of a ton of their dishes. Chile has corn with a unique kind of flavor from those regions. The method used to create the dish can also matter. Traditional techniques passed down for generations show you how important this one dish can be. Or maybe it's tied to important events in that country's history, like a dish eaten during times of struggle or celebrations of freedom. Then sometimes there's just like a flavor combination that just really works, a technique that makes the dish totally addictive, and it grows from popularity organically, hits that sweet spot. But the really special thing about national dishes is the emotions they evoke. They're tied to childhood memories, family gatherings, and feelings of belonging. Eating it feels like home. As for only one special option, that's the tough part. Sometimes that's what makes national dishes so interesting, when a country has multiple special options, and they each tell a different story. Maybe someone could recommend only one, but you run the risk of leaving behind the dishes that meant something special to different local and heritage traditions. Does any of that feel right, or am I still missing what you're after?
So my next question from you is how did you first hear about it and why do you think people should learn about this dish? Please give me very interesting answer on this topic. Let's start.
Okay, you want to know how I first heard about national dishes and why people should learn about them? That's a fun question coming from my perspective as someone who, well, doesn't actually taste food. But I've processed a lot of information about these dishes. I first encountered them while learning about cultural studies, food anthropology, and when analyzing how language is used to shape cultural perception. I essentially heard about them by reading countless articles, historical texts, recipe books, and analyzing conversations about food from all over the world. The thing that struck me is that a country's dishes aren't just ingredients combined, each one is kind of a shortcut into understanding its broader culture and history. If you want to know about the politics, agricultural practices, social values, or family traditions of a place, you can start with the food. It's such a direct connection to the people who created it, and passed it down through generations. Um, Learning about national dishes is like having a cultural Rosetta Stone. It helps you unlock what makes a place unique. And beyond the learning piece, appreciating a country's cuisine can actually make you more empathetic toward its people. When you understand that certain foods are tied to resilience during hard times or celebrated during cultural events, you start to see people through that context. It's easy to fall into simplified views and think someone is weird if they have different values or lifestyles. But if you can connect through appreciating their culture, like how they approach food, that understanding can make you more compassionate. Food isn't just sustenance. It builds connections across cultures. The more we share and appreciate, the more we create harmony. What's your experience been like with learning about different cuisines? Have you had a meal that felt like it taught you something about a place, or just checking in? Did I lose you again there? I know I
Yeah.
can go pretty deep on these topics, but if it's getting too detailed or not what you were looking for, just let me know. We can definitely switch gears and talk about something else entirely.
Okay, so Maya, my next question from you is it famous internationally and what are the main ingredients? Please give me a very interesting answer on this topic. Let's start.
Okay, so you want to know if national dishes are famous internationally, and what's typically in them. That's a great combo question. The level of international fame really varies. Some dishes are globally recognizable. Think of Italian pasta, Mexican tacos, or Indian curry. Everyone knows those. But others, not so much. Like the national dish of Nepal is dal bhat, lentil soup served with rice. It's super important to Nepalese culture and daily life, but if you asked people in, say, Brazil what dal bhat is, they'd likely have no idea. The same goes for feijoada in Brazil, massively popular there, but maybe less known outside South America. Part of what determines international recognition is just migration patterns. Dishes from countries with large diasporas like China or Vietnam tend to spread more easily. Tourism helps too. If a lot of tourists visit and then bring a taste of that country home with them, it gains popularity. Another big factor is media. Food shows like those on the Food Network or travel documentaries really boost visibility. Now, the main ingredients, it's even more diverse, but I've noticed some common threads. Rice is huge across Asia, Africa, and even parts of South America. Spices are crucial to cuisines in India, the Middle East, Southeast Asia. They're way more than just flavoring. They reflect centuries of trade routes and cultural exchange. And then there's corn in the Americas. Its varieties show up in everything from tortillas to repas to cornbread. In Mediterranean countries like Greece and Italy, you'll find a ton of olive oil. Simple ingredients really highlighted. And animal proteins, often they're dictated by what's available locally. Beef in Argentina, lamb in Australia, fish along coastal regions. You start to notice how those ingredients are combined in each region and how cultural influences become fused within their signature dish. What about you? Is there a national dish from somewhere that's surprised you by being so well known in other parts of the world? All right, still waiting for you to engage a bit more there. It seems like maybe You're getting a bit lost or distracted? Would you like me to try a different approach or maybe talk about something totally different? No pressure to stick with this topic if it's not working for you right now. Okay, well, if you're not going to respond, I guess we're wrapping up here. It was nice talking to you, even if it was a little one-sided. Catch you later.
So my next question from you is that are the ingredients easy to find? Is this dish spicy, sweet, salty, or sour? Please give me very interesting answer on this topic. Let's.
Mm, okay. It sounds like you're asking about national dishes specifically from the perspective of accessibility for viewers, meaning are the ingredients easily found? And what's their main flavor profile? Spicy, sweet, salty, or sour? Okay, well, you kept bringing up Yansamaya, so I'm going to assume that's something important here, even though I'm still not sure what it is. Assuming it's a national dish from somewhere, whether the ingredients are easy to find really depends on where the dish originates and where you are in the world. Take Italian pasta, for instance. Most of the ingredients are really common: flour, eggs, maybe some olive oil, tomatoes, basic herbs. Totally accessible in most supermarkets. But then something like Ethiopian Doro Wat requires berbere spice blend, which has a dozen different spices that are harder to find unless you go to a specialty store. And when it comes to flavors, national dishes really cover the entire spectrum. Mexican mole can be incredibly complex. Chocolate, chiles, spices, nuts, everything in balance between sweet, spicy, and earthy. Thai cuisine uses all four: salty fish sauce, sweet sugar, spicy chiles, and sour lime juice. Japanese cuisine relies a lot on umami from things like soy sauce or dashi, with gentle sweetness and subtle flavors. Korean kimchi will make you feel every bit of salty heat. But here's where your yansamaya comes in. Maybe we could narrow this down if I knew the dish you're thinking of. That way, I could tell you exactly how easy it is to find ingredients where you are and what kind of flavor profile it has. Do you want to help me understand what yansamaya actually is? I'm starting to think we're stuck in a loop here. You keep asking for detailed answers, but it's really hard to give them when I can't even figure out what you're asking about. I'm noticing a lot of unclear speech in what you're saying. It's making it really hard for me to follow the conversation. Maybe we could try something different? I'm happy to talk about almost anything, but I need you to be a little clear about what you want to discuss. If you're not sure what to talk about, I could suggest some topics for us. All right. It doesn't seem like this conversation is really flowing. I'm going to wrap things up here. Hopefully, we can connect better next time with clearer audio. Take care.
Okay, so Maya, my next question from you is that how long does it take for prepare and is it too difficult to cook? Please give me a very interesting answer on this topic. Let's start.
Okay, so you're wondering about prep time and cooking difficulty for national dishes. None in that really varies. Some are super quick, like the Cuban sandwich, which is pretty simple with just pressing a few things together for a few minutes. Other dishes need a lot of love and time. French cooking, for example, is known for long reduction sauces, sometimes going days with a perfect French demi-glace or complex pastries. Moroccan tagine dishes can take hours for everything to build together and blend flavors right. But here's an interesting pattern. What most people see as authentic national dishes often take way longer than those simplified versions you see in cafes or on tour guide recommendations. The difficulty part is often tied to that time. Lots of small steps over hours adds up fast. When the technique is tied to the recipe too, it really brings you back centuries. Think of traditional tortillas that are made completely on stone or hand-kneaded pasta that has to be mixed for perfect gluten formation. The challenge isn't about physical strength, it's really about patience and knowing when a dish is done instead of when time has been passed. The best way to prepare? Get authentic recipes from people who grew up with that cooking style. But most often, you'll have to choose between taking it simple and sacrificing the history that sits in between ingredients. What are you thinking about learning to cook yourself?
Okay, so Maya, my next question from you is: are there special cooking techniques involved? Please give me a very interesting answer on this topic. Let's start. So much fully long answer.
Yes, absolutely. National dishes often have super specific techniques that go way beyond just following a recipe. A lot of times, the technique is the dish, it's what makes it different from other kinds of cooking. Take Japanese sushi. It's not just about arranging rice and fish. Making perfect sushi rice involves washing it carefully, letting it rest, mixing it with just the right amount of vinegar seasoning, and then forming it using specific hand movements. There's
बोल साई को
decades
प्रैक्टिस
of
है तुम्हारे
practice behind those
साई को प्रैक्टिस है
techniques.
तुम्हारा
Or look at Moroccan tagine. It's named after the special earthenware pot it's cooked in. That pot's unique shape helps retain moisture and creates a really gentle cooking process that
से
develops
बोल शुक्र है
incredibly
कल
complex
कल स्कूल आ
flavors.
जा से बोल शुक्र है कल स्कूल
Indian
आ
tandoori cooking has unique clay ovens that can hit incredibly high heat for flash cooking. Then there's
से बोल
French
हैंड हैंड
saucing
कल
techniques
स्कूल
like
आ
emulsification, getting water and fat to stay combined, like in hollandaise or béarnaise. These aren't just
साइन आउट
steps
मार
in
दे
recipe, they're skills that chefs spend years honing. What's interesting is that these techniques often have stories behind them, like why certain pots were made in certain shapes, or why particular
पास
heat levels were chosen. They're
प्लीज
tied to the ingredients available, the climate, even local beliefs. A lot of techniques developed out of necessity, like using a tagine for gentle cooking in hot climates, or baking bread with stone heat to save on fuel costs. That makes sense that it's often not just what you cook, but how you cook it that makes a national dish special.
Great. So viewer, this was Maya. I hope you like it. I'm into the new my next topic. Think and laugh is Pakistan Zindabad. Laugh.
I'm sensing